I'm going to tell you all right now, all of these wonderful people would not be here without Patreon supporters like you. If you enjoy credible news, reviews, and commentary on UFOs and UAPs 5 days a week, you want to support this show. What's your name? Marty. Marty, look how easy this is, Marty. Pick up your phone. Boom! You're a Patreon member. I mean, look, it's so easy. You just click the link, which is right here. Just for $1 a month, you can support this show. Just fill out the information and pledge what's comfortable for you. It could be $1, $5, $10, or who knows. Just support.
Hello, and welcome to the Unidentified Celebrity Review. There's been a flurry of interesting news lately, and today we'll be lucky enough to chat with one of these newsmakers. Someone who is not only exploring UAP in the present, but is amongst the closest to the 2004 Nimitz encounter that ultimately brought many of us here. But first, I wanted to mention some scientific news that really caught my attention. Stanford scientist Gary Nolan gave a very interesting interview to Vice News. In it, he reveals, amongst some other things, that there seems to be a correlation between brain structure and the ability to perceive unusual phenomena. And while there could be many reasons for this correlation, the most wild and exciting possibility is we are literally evolving into another spatial dimension. And some of us may be further along this evolutionary path. So this is certainly out there, but it's not entirely without evidence. Brain scans show activity which seems to suggest a literal extra-dimensional portion of our brains. Don't believe me? Check out my video over on my channel, Rather Be Squidding, entitled CE5, Telepathy and Remote Viewing. You might be surprised what you find. But now, let's get on with today's show. UFO Jane will be joining us a little bit later, but joining now is the unidentified celebrity behind the Unidentified Celebrity Review. Please welcome Luis Jimenez.
Hey Rather. How you doing, buddy?
Doing well, yourself?
I like that opening a lot. I like that.
UC
Maybe we should
and
talk
UCR.
about it. We got to talk about that Gary Nolan, that old Gary Nolan.
Yeah, that was
some pretty wild stuff.
Yeah, one of the most interesting articles that came out in recent history, really.
I think so too. I said it was the icing on the 2021 UFO cake. Like, that was, I think, maybe my favorite article, other than maybe Tyler Rogaway's drone article that was earlier in the year. That's right up there.
Yeah, there's a lot packed in there too. Well, I'm sure we'll dive into it later.
I wanted to dive into it on Friday, but we just didn't have enough time to really digest what was going on in that interview to talk about it. So anyway, hello, good morning, good evening, good day, good afternoon, and aloha, wherever you are at around the world. Welcome back to another episode of the Unidentified Celebrity Review, your home for credible news, reviews, and commentary on everything UAP and UFO. My name's Luis Jimenez. That is Rather Be Squidding. Before we get started, of course, we got to pay some bills. I want to say thank you so much to DOS Tapes. They provide all of the tunes on the show. Their Bandcamp link is in the description below. I also want to remind you guys that this show is available on podcast, Spotify, iTunes. Leave us a rate and review. It goes a very, very long way to making sure the podcast grows, which, by the way, it is. So that's really great. Also, want to remind you guys that we have a Patreon. We also have the Super Chats open. So if you have a dying question that absolutely must be answered, please consider using the Super Chat. It's a great way to support the show. Remember, we are a public access channel. We're supported by viewers like you. So if you want this show 4 days a week like we do it, please consider joining the Patreon. That's a great way to support the show. I also want to thank our moderators, Tina Tomaszewski, Aaron Desario, Rodrigo, UFOT. Thank you so much for keeping the chat nice and clean and respectful. Don't forget to check out the links in the description below. Find the UCR merch store and our ever-growing Discord, along with all of our guests, co-hosts, and unboxings that we'll be doing today. We're actually going to get into it right after this. Last but not least, want to say hello and thank you to everybody over there at the KGR ADB family, where we broadcast the Unidentified Celebrity Review live every Friday from 1 to 3 p.m. And then, so let's do this. Rather, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Excellent. Well, Gary Voorhis is in the back. Let's go ahead and bring him in here, shall we? Maybe he wants to also be part of this unboxing. I think these are really cool. Let's bring in friend and president of UAPX, Mr. Gary Voorhis. Gary, what's shaking, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
It's going well.
Wow.
It's going really, really well. Yeah, I think you've already been told. I heard over the weekend that you should be doing voiceovers for like Ford trucks.
Yeah, I've been told I got a radio voice.
Yeah. Maybe we could get you some copy, and I'll pass your reel on to some voiceover directors out here. Okay, so cool. I got a really awesome package in the mail. I wanted to share this with you guys because I love doing unboxings when I order from the community. It's always really fun. This is from Rusty Dragons Toys and Games, and the Zigno helped design these, and also Mark Boyle was also had a hand in these. I'm not sure who's doing what. I'm pretty sure I know what Zigno's doing in all of this, but I wanted to show you guys what I got in the mail. So let's do it. Awesome. So I'm going to keep this one because I promised him I wasn't going to show that one. Okay, so first one we got here is looks like the Tic Tac. And okay, it's taped up. Hold on. It's got some tape on there. I think that's like the way to hang it, the rope that I got there. Oh, okay.
Oh, it looks
this
like
one. This one I got to put together.
Like a three-dimensional Tic Tac.
Yeah, I thought it was going to fold out, but I think I know how this goes. But obviously, I'm not going to build it here. But I think this is how it's essentially going to look. And by the way, the material on this, you guys, it's recycled material.
But that lollipop sticks?
Nice.
No, just kidding.
Oh no, they almost do look like lollipop sticks, but they're a lot more durable. Yeah. I mean, this came all the way from the UK, so the fact that none of these are cracked or broken is actually quite impressive.
I'm actually begging the guy right now to design me a logo sticker.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Marco Boyle is really cool, you guys. So check out their work. I've got the link for these Christmas ornaments in the link below. That one was a little anticlimactic. I'll take a picture of it when I'm done putting it together. But let's see what we got here. Okay, so this I think is an extra one. Okay, that one looks like another buildable one. But let me show you guys the ones that are actually, and this is even sturdier.
I like it.
These are pretty rad, right? They're handmade. They're pretty thick. I think they're awesome, man. And I got these on Etsy. I think the whole pack, I can't remember what I paid for it, but it was like, I don't know, like 20, 25 bucks, I think. Don't quote me on that. I could be totally wrong. It could have been even less than that. I can't believe I don't remember. And this one, I think, is my favorite.
So is this like his company front? Is that what the name of that? The name, because I know the Signal, but you know.
Oh, I don't know. I think Dan just helped them design it.
Okay.
And then Marco Boyle and whoever owns the Rusty Dragons toys and games, which by the way, here I'll share with you guys the
love the name though.
It's a cool name.
I'm an old pen and paper D&D guy, so I love that.
It like speaks to you.
Yeah, I love when ufology can leak into any other field as well. And Christmas is the perfect marriage for UAP, in my opinion.
Yeah. So this is what the Tic Tac's going to look like once I get it built and unboxed. I didn't want to open I wanted to do it in real time, so I haven't put them together. They've been sitting in the envelope for a couple days.
You'll have to put it together and hang it up behind you for the next broadcast.
Yeah, that would be cool. I think you guys can see it. There it is right there. And so this is Rusty Dragon Toys and Games. So go give them a follow. Check out this work. I think I have a feeling when I put it together that the Tic Tac will end up being my favorite, but I do love this one. This one is awesome. Like this is like that classic David Marler triangle, UAP, almost like the TR3B almost kind of vibe.
The black triangle, whatever wants to see that footage, right?
Yeah, this is guys. This is what it would look. Simulation of what that infamous debrief article triangle photo would look like coming out of the water and do something like this and then speed away. So there you go. You got the picture right there. You never knew that we would deliver such breaking news, did you? But no, these are really cool. So I just want to say thank you guys. I can't wait to put these up on the tree tonight. And then I've got, he also sent me one with stars. I don't know what this one's about, but I'll figure it out. I think it's just again, like a complicated puzzle star one. So thank you so much, you guys. I truly appreciate it. And I recommend, if you love UAP, go get some for your tree. So okay, let's get into it. How do you segue from ornament unboxings to UAP talk? Gary, you had some really cool news come out in the last day. It was issued on IssueWire, and I think you guys did something with Ryan Sprague, right, to announce this?
He's just always quick to jump on top of whatever we do. He's a buddy. I know him pretty well, so we didn't actually give anybody a heads up on this. We just wanted to kind of do something because right now we're having to operate in the dark. Unfortunately, funding is few and far between. You guys know the struggle.
Yeah.
Yes. So whenever, when a production company says, hey, we'll fund your full expedition, but we want to record it and you can't talk about it until it comes out.
Right.
It doesn't sound like a bad deal until after the fact. And then you just have to sit on your hands and wait. So we, let's see. What is Ryan saying? Can Gary elaborate on an update on us on whether he's been on any other more positive tracks under the water during a TikTok event? No, other than what I reported. Well, I think it's been months and months ago about getting a drunk dial from a submariner. One of the sonar guys, but. I did finally get the truth about, why you haven't heard from a lot of the crew on some of the systems is because they're under NDA.
Right.
I know the sonar guys, they got a passive track. I haven't been able to confirm whether it was in the air or under the water. The sonar can actually record airborne tracks and surface tracks too. So it doesn't really matter if it's, in the water or not, it can hear it. So,
right.
It's a super sensitive mic basically.
Thank you for that question, Ryan, by the way. And then John Music had not a question, but said something. I don't know if any of you guys have heard this. This is the first time I'm hearing it. Senator Gillibrand just said 2 hours ago that the amendment was gutted behind closed doors. So effed up and wrong. Just message her about it on Twitter.
My guess / hope on that is that she's talking about the not hope, but there's another Gillibrand amendment, which is about other stuff, and I think that's probably more on her mind and probably what she's talking about. Hopefully that's not gutted and goes through as well, but if anyone knows more about it,
other stuff is a very political way to put it, rather.
Yeah. I've seen a little bit of the other stuff, and that kind of concerned because it's like, do we really want our name associated with this?
Yeah. Kelly Lee Dodge says, when is Gary making an ASMR video? Gary, have you ever seen one of those ASMR videos?
I'm familiar with what it is. Probably
so when
never.
You're going to get some furries and clicky things and some nails
to
rub up and down on the microphone. Hey, listen, do you want to sponsor UAPX or not, Gary? What's the deal?
How did you get your company running? Just like this.
I mean,
These are the sweet tones and sounds of Gary Voorhis.
Honestly, dude, if you just picked up a book and read a chapter for, an hour or 2 chapters, however many, depends on the book. But
1984 with Gary Voorhis.
Exactly. And then you just open it up, let people donate. You would be shocked, man. You would be shocked.
I'll do an ASMR channel on YouTube.
There you go. Call it UAP Whispers. I love it.
To get back to that question you were talking about, unfortunately, other than what's in that, I can't elaborate more about like the projects themselves. or any of the information that we collected yet. We had to be real maneuvering around the just doing the press release was a little tedious because
Yeah, I
we
was
had,
gonna say.
we had to dance around.
Yeah, this is a hell of a little what's the word? Almost like Dirty Dancing with Patrick Swayze. What you did here
yeah.
with this press release. But I mean the title of the press release is UAPX announces significant discoveries in understanding the UFO UAP phenomenon. And yeah, so I mean, do you want to elaborate on this, or do you kind of just want to read it from here because you spent so much time?
I'll be honest with you. Like I said, what we put in there is the meat and potatoes of what we can talk about right now.
Right.
And I want to just thank Jeremy. Jeremy actually did the majority of the writing on that. He's a very talented technical writer, regardless of what Twitter thinks of him.
Well, that's what he used to do. He was a technical
Jeremy
writer.
McGowan. I mean, the guy, he may not be real good at dealing with people online, but he is a very talented technical writer and probably one of the few handful of really intelligent people that I know. Him, Matthew, and Kevin are the ones that kind of went back and forth with this, and then of course we just threw it past our media guy just to make sure we weren't breaking any NDA rules. And then, but go ahead.
So Gary, you said I think on previous interviews that you've had like thousands of hours of video recorded and gigabytes of data. Are you able to tell us how far you are in processing that data? Well, or is there still stuff that needs to be done? Or
I guess talking about the I haven't really cleared like what I could talk about with how far in our research I have, because the one thing about their company is that I may be steering the ship, but it's a completely team effort. So I don't want to just jump out here and just talk about my science team's actual work without clearing to them what they want released and what they don't. But we are making significant efforts. Like the one thing I can talk about is that we're really striving hard to develop software to be able to in real time analyze video data of all platforms. Like that means it doesn't matter whether it's optical, whether it's thermal, whether it's it doesn't matter what's on it. We'll be able to use this software to literally just identify what we want, save the good stuff, and put the other stuff on the side just in case we get better equipment later to look back at that equipment. We're not going to throw away any data, but there's a lot of I mean, the one bad thing about the hotspot that we were at is just there's a lot of flight traffic. I mean, I think at one time we even had a paraglider go across the screen. Wow. It's funny because you just see this like triangle and then like feet hanging off of it. So, but it's very obvious. A lot of stuff is very obvious what it is, and that's really the first problem is just to get through it all, get rid of all the crap, narrow it down to just the good stuff. But another thing I can really say is that like we're using just like a 1 hour block of data just to proof our software, and we just keep finding more and more in just that 1 hour. So I mean, we're really hopeful that once we get this software done and we can just rip through the rest of all the data, that it should hopefully only take us about 3 or 4 months to get through most of it. But that's only if the software gets finished. Right. And it's really close. Matthew, the guy, I mean, actual literal genius, not even just like yanking, not even trying to make him feel good. The guy is an effing genius.
Yeah.
He every time I turn around, he's just like, oh yeah, you remember that problem I said can't be fixed or done? Oh, I did it. Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
What are we paying you? Not enough.
Yeah. Damn, no, that's awesome, man. I mean, it sounds to me, based off of this press release, is that you guys have seemed to have dialed in the instruments, and you have seemed to dialed in the location, and
we're going to get to the point where it doesn't matter where we're at.
Okay. You don't
And
matter if it does. Okay.
I got a feeling at the end of the day, if you look in the right any spot, I mean, you're going to have less or more of it. But I got a feeling if you look long enough anywhere, you're going to find something. And I think
There's that much traffic.
I really think there is. And I
And
think I think a lot of it's just because we're not consistently looking for it, because we got a lot of these groups, especially with citizen science, where, everybody will get together. We'll do a whole night survey. You might see a couple of cool things with the naked eye, maybe a handful of things that looked cool, but you're not sure if it was a satellite or not. And maybe one thing that you're like, that's definitely something odd. When you start using, $50,000 FLIR cameras and, 8 of them, and, looking for radiation spikes of alpha, beta, and gamma radiation. And when you start looking at like all kinds of other sensor data, when you're trying to collaborate all of these things, you start seeing things coalesce, and you can start you almost know when things are about to happen. So we were really lucky because a lot of I can't go into that yet, but yeah, I know. I got to back
let's
up.
keep talking, Gary.
I don't want to be. I don't want to roll like Lou would be like, oh, no, national defense. No, this is nothing national defense. It's a countdown till about April. When our movie's released, we can start talking candidly about everything. But we're really excited. Just know that we are working hard. And right now, I'll be honest with you, I'm not working all that hard, but our science guys are. Matthew, Kevin, mostly. I tell you what, the heavy lifting has been Matthew. This cat has been doing, I'd say, the lion's share of the work. So and then we've got Kevin coming in a close second, and then the rest of us are just trying to, we're like little puppies behind it. Like, hey, what do you need us to do? So it's a blessing to have all these people. Even Jeremy, man, the guy is just amazing technical writer, comes up with the craziest ideas. All of a sudden, when you just think he's a meathead, he comes up with an intellectual question that even I say, shit, I didn't think of that. That's a damn good question. What do you guys think? Because I have no idea. He's he shows his intellect in a very subtle way, but then all of a sudden it'll slap you in the face.
Right. Right. No, I mean, hey, I love McGowan's, especially his insight on things, and because he's a technical writer, especially when it comes to verbiage.
Well, he's so technical. Like he's
so
like, he's that kid that would almost get in trouble, but because of a technicality, he got away with it.
Right.
I mean, but he's smart enough to do that. And unfortunately, Twitter doesn't give a shit about that, which is why he's not great on Twitter.
No. I mean, that's a whole nother nightmare.
No, I know.
But well, he's kind of back a little bit. He does have his.
He got back on. He got back on, and
but he seems to be pretty neutral and just posting things.
Yeah,
not responding, which is, I think, a good place to be.
Yeah, that's where I try to stay too. I don't argue with nobody. I'm like, okay, that's what you want to believe. Cool. I'm not going to argue with you about it. I'm not going to try to make you believe what I know. It's fine. There's no way you can know what I know. You're not in my head.
And by the way, Jazz confirmed what you were saying. Rather that we put together, the quote was, we put a filibuster-proof majority of support to pass the MJIIPA. We got it in the NDA. We were told to wait and respect the process. Then it was gutted behind closed doors. Senator Gillibrand. That was the quote. So thanks, Jazz, for clearing that up. And then Eventside has a question for Gary. Gary, apologies if you've answered this question already or can't go into it, but have you found any particular data set or sensors to be particularly productive?
I think a long-range infrared. So basically, long-range FLIR cameras. They use a long wavelength rather than a short wavelength. Where, like, when you get the little hand scanners or the ones for your phones, those are very short wavelengths. They're made for sticking against the wall or seeing like a rat move behind the wall or a leak, or they're not used for scanning an entire sky. So you need to use a long wave infrared. And that seems to be a way of really kind of because whether it's a super cold object or a super hot object or a super fast or slow, you're still going to get something on it. So that's what's. Go ahead.
Did you say those run around $50,000 each, putting home detection a little bit out of reach?
I'll be honest with you, you can buy older ones for less, but if you want to actually do this type of stuff, you've got to spend some money. I mean, if we wouldn't need an entire production company to pay for it if it was cheap, you know. And we didn't even make a dime off of this. Honestly, I wish we knew what we know now. We probably would have gotten a couple of points on the backside of this to get some money for the company. But mostly, we got funded, we got out there, we got the backing of college, which costs money, and that's it. That's where all the money went.
I will tell you, I could offer you advice next time you go into a movie production deal. I know enough about them, especially when it comes to points and stuff like that.
Yeah, get somebody that knows, and we do. Yeah. We've got good representation now. So
that's awesome. All right, speaking of representation, let's bring in UFO Jane.
Hey, Gary.
Representing hard.
Long time no see.
Yeah, I was so excited that you're going to be on the stream tonight, and of course I'm running late, but
no worries, I was too.
Okay, and we got our matching Christmas trees too. Yeah. So
there you go.
Good company. Yeah.
Oh, okay, right on, perfect. Jane, welcome.
Yeah. Hey guys.
So I heard you the other night, Gary, on Alien Girl 111, and you were talking about. And I don't know, did you listen to the Ross Coulthart interview today?
No.
Okay, because he had mentioned you guys in passing about how you were getting funding from government entities, and I was like, well, that doesn't
really
sound right.
When is it coming in?
Yeah, that's what I thought Gary would have said, and then he also said something, or non-public funding. Those were the two terms he used when it came to how you guys were looking at the sky. But
production companies
is a small part of what he was talking about. Yeah, I get. Yeah, that's true. I mean, that was a small part of what he was talking about. His greater point was he was really excited about this press release and what you guys are doing. So, my question to you is, do you think what you guys are gonna, if the data that you're looking at seems to be very exciting enough to a point where we're putting a press release out about the data that nobody's gonna see for at least 4 to 5 months?
Yeah.
So it's got to be pretty exciting if you're putting something out in December. So my question is, do you think this data is going to put pressure or push on any pressure points in any other aspects of this conversation, whether it be government, whether it be other private organizations?
Unless it pushes forward the academic side and make this a closer to a mainstream science. I don't really care about the rest. I don't care about the politics. I've got you, I've got Lou, I've got we've got a whole crew of people that are way more better funded and way more better suited to that than me. My company's worried about the science. Matter of fact, we're gonna
I know you're worried about the science. It's more of, do you think that the data will be so good it will pressure other entities to be more transparent? I mean, whether it be science, whether it be government.
I truly believe that it's good enough to pique academia. To say, wait a minute, all right, there's something to this. Let's look into it, because we're harder on ourselves than any skeptic could be. I mean, half the time we're just sitting around just trying to debunk anything that we have.
I know that's exactly what McGowan does.
No, I know. McGowan picks it apart. There's only one true believer on our team. Yeah. That's just waiting to see the rock solid evidence, and but the rest of us, we're just like, are we sure that's what it is? Could it be anything else? Is this like some type of unknown weather anomaly? Is this some type of, there's just all kinds of things that we go through. I mean, we're getting to the point where, we're contacting other research groups to see whether or not our readings are can be misconstrued through as something else, people that are specifics in their fields too. So we're also going out to other scientists and trying to rationalize the data too. So I mean, everything gets rationalized.
How did those other scientists come back to you? Can you talk about sort of their
don't
answers?
tell them we're looking for UAP.
Okay.
I think some of them are aware of like what we're doing, but
I love that idea.
Well, we basically we're looking for raw information, so we don't really need to tell them. It's like some people know, some people don't, and I leave it to my experts to talk to them and to deal with all of that. And I don't want to run my mouth too much because who knows what I can mess up. So,
Rather, what do you got?
Yeah, have you ever gotten any indication that the government is interested in you as far as potential government intervention if they wanted to issue prior restraint and stop you from publishing any findings? Is there any indication that might happen?
Directly, but we're pretty sure our mail's being tampered with because we're having a hard time shipping information back and forth between each other. So now we're just sending blank hard drives around just to mess with them.
And
go ahead, Jane.
Well, I don't know rather if you're done with that particular question, but a follow-up, do you think it could be our government? Because I remember...
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so honestly, not even like other governments or other private groups, right?
I'm sure we get it doesn't matter really what kind of research you're doing. You're always going to get soft probed by other countries, and that's just going to be that could be for all we know, Mr. Squidding here could be an agent of the Ukraine.
It always goes the same.
Back
to rather be squidding.
Yeah. So I mean, you could never know who's working for who or why. The beautiful thing about doing research is I don't care. I'm not going to answer, because there's when some people get into certain questions, you're like, hey, wait a minute, why do you want to know that? What? That's not a question that people that are interested in this. No, that's a question that people are looking at for, looking for technical data or, and most of the time I just get probed for information about weapon systems and things like that. So, our research is not really of much of a concern to other countries, I don't believe, but the $1 billion weapon system I used to run probably is a much, a loftier goal.
So do you think it was at the UAP, seeing the Tic Tac UFO that brought attention toward you and your group and the weapon system? So they're not even interested in the, things you guys are looking into with UFO technology?
I think if we'd ever do find the smoking gun, I had a conversation with my guys when we first started this out saying, look, there's a good possibility that we're going to find something. And if we do, we're going to have to run into the government. And, if we find nothing, then we never have to worry about it, because none of us are getting knocks on our doors and there's no men in black coming after us. And so I think because we are doing it from just a pure science aspect, we're not trying to, we're trying to change the world, but we're trying to change the world in a subtle way. And I don't really think I think it runs along with their narrative, so it's not really a problem for them.
Well, I'm excited because you were talking about in our Discord a few weeks ago, and I figured we'd dive into it here because I'm not sure how many people heard.
You take too many notes, Lou.
I do. Well, we talk quite a bit, and I love talking to you, and it's always fun. And, actually, I'm like, in my brain, I was like, man, can I get Kevin Knuth, Jeremy McGowan, and Gary Voorhis the day they want to announce this on our show, because I love that. I would love to get all three of you guys to sit down and talk about how you collected the data, where it went, where you're storing it, what kind of AI at that point hopefully has been written that is helping you sift through this data.
Well, I kind of have to go back to I got to go back to the people that were there right when we first started that were always supporting us. So I think that the bigger announcements and like whenever we, in April when, we can really fully talk about this, I think, we'll probably go like SOR, and then just start with that, and then do the rounds. Go UCR after that, and then I don't think it's not going to be a personal after SOR. Just me and Dave have had a long relationship.
You don't need to explain to me why
you're
you want to use Spaced Out Radio first.
Yeah,
He's been doing this for 10 freaking years. Yeah. I mean, that's totally.
Well, he's been one of the people that have been.
Let's be clear. I want you second.
Well, maybe we'll have everybody draw straws.
No, whenever. It's no, man. I think that
maybe we'll just do a big panel and have like all of you guys on there. We'll get like UFO girl, Jane, We'll get the all of the usual suspects together on a big panel.
Okay, well, you were talking about in the Discord a new vehicle that you guys are working on. Well, I kind of wanted that you're working on specifically.
It's a private project of my own. So Jeremy has been a big inspiration to me when it comes to the Osiris. I thought it was very ambitious. I thought it was a lofty goal, and it's impressed me. So what's the best? Best impressions. You make a forgery. Right. So my forgery is going to be called the Acadian. And I'm going to take a 2015 Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk, and I'm going to turn it into a vehicle similar to the Osiris.
You were bragging, though, that yours is going to be way better. Can you talk about some of the, or go ahead, rather? Sorry.
I was going to say, was most of the data collected by the Osiris in your first expedition?
No, actually. We were able to, I can't go into it. Nice. That was good. You almost got me.
That was close. Almost. Yeah. Well, so I was going to ask about the vehicles and sort of like what are the different instruments that you're putting in there that are either upgrades or different from the Osiris that maybe make these two vehicles very unique.
Well, eventually I think I think we want to have the equipment to be almost identical on both pieces of equipment. So what my brand might, because I always have a 10-step plan. I'm always 10 years ahead of myself. Yeah. So what I really want to have eventually is 3 different vehicles, one to cover the Northeast, one to cover the West, and one to cover the Southeast, since that's primarily the 3 locations that most of my team are in. And so these are basically going to be vehicles that we can go to a place that's considered a hot spot, do a preliminary analysis, and then try to find the best places to set up shop for a long period of time. And then basically we're going to have like a 3-step process: preliminary analysis, so we can kind of, maybe do a 24 to 72 hour, just kind of sit there and look, and 24 hours a day, 3 days a week, for 3 solid days, never stopping. And then go to like a 5 to 7 day one. And then if we get enough good data, set up a Druid system, which is basically our version of SkyHub, permanently in that location, so that we can consistently monitor that area permanently from now and forever. And then, obviously at that point, I'll be getting probably in touch with a lot of other people, since there's a lot of people, I know I was pretty impressed with the UFO DAP setup. Software needs some work. It's more of an engineer's idea of a good time, but I wouldn't say it's as user friendly to the general public as it needs to be. But it's a work in progress, like anything else. But the hardware is solid on it, so I really like that. And then of course you still have the remnants of the SkyHub guys. I forgot what they renamed themselves, but now they're based out of Europe. So I'm going to reach out to any organization serious about wanting to get these networks up and running, and maybe see if they even want to participate in having one big network. But that's, like I said, the future. At that point, I'm hoping to be autonomous and not dependent on other people's money. We're working on plans to develop revenue streams and stuff like that for the nonprofit at this point. So we don't want to be dependent on just donations either, because that's right. That's always hit or miss, especially when I could run a podcast off of a couple $1,000s a month, but I can't run a research company off of that.
Right. No, that makes sense. I mean, ideally, where would you love to see funding come from in the perfect world? I mean, would you want to be paired
Well,
up with, say, a Harvard University or an MIT or something like that?
well, I mean, in a perfect world, I'd love a big fat grant from a university that just
Yeah.
basically says, "Here's a lot of money. Go show us some. Go show us something."
Yeah.
You know. But when it comes down to it, that's usually like even if it was a private donation like the Galileo project,
Yeah.
and through a college, that's like the perfect situation, because then we don't have to worry about NDAs. We don't have
Yeah.
to, we can invite people to come onto the project and kick them off the project, and that's basically the big, okay, you violate our trust, you're off the project.
Yeah. What would be the if you could get a grant like that, what would UAPX look like? Like, what would be the perfect setup, do you think? How would you implement, like, if I mean, first of all, how big of a grant would you want? $1 billion, $500 million?
Yeah.
Okay. So what would you do with,
I mean, honestly,
yeah.
realistically, if we're gonna just do hypothetic,
Yeah.
honestly, $500 million, I could get an entire grid system running in the entire United States. I could have all the hot spots in the entire United States plastered with systems that would literally monitor 24 hours a day, cloud computing. I mean, I would set up a whole Skynet infrastructure. I'd petition to get. I'd probably buy a satellite through Elon and try to get into his network, and early, maybe even donate money into that, to invest into that network to get into it, because that way we can look at it from the top and the bottom, look up and down,
Right.
So, I mean, that's the name of the game is coverage, and the longer you can watch, the better. And that's why it's so important for us to get that software to 1-to-1 ratio for research purposes, because if we're collecting terabytes of information, standard model right now, it takes ages to go through it.
Right.
And so if we're at 1-to-1, literally as we're filming, we can be analyzing at the same time.
Well, do you guys have any follow-ups to that?
Oh, so I'm curious about these 3 regions of the U.S. that you'll be touring, right, and observing and trying to see if there's a place to more permanently study, right?
Mhm.
All right. What do you? I mean, I know you. Maybe you can do more than speculate right now if there's a particular hotspot you're eyeing. But do you think the ranch? Okay.
The ranch and properties like that. So the Skinwalker Ranch is publicized highly because of what goes on there, and they're a big ass TV show. So everybody generally at least has heard the name. Right. It may not be completely household name, but it is pretty close to that. But you have, yes, Sonic. I literally was looking at one today.
Just in case you're wondering what Gary's talking about, if you're listening to the podcast, Sonic Gravity with a $20 donation says, Voorhis, please put a spectrometer hooked up to a telescope in the Acadian to get a spectrometer read on the light emitted by UAP balls to know if the light is sunlight, to confirm the quantum echo hypothesis.
I actually just was looking at a unit today that can be easily hooked to a telescope, but I'm actually looking at more of a broad angle, and I want to find something that can automatically train in on light objects, so that I can just punch in coordinates and it will analyze whatever I'm looking at. So yeah, I've already got that in my mind, bud. It's already incorporated into the Acadian. That, along with massive amounts of RF. I'm even going to be stealing an old colleague's idea with light emitters and transmitters, using defocused lasers to transmit information into space. So I'm going to have that sitting right on the roof, transmitting.
That's like CE5, like for real, right?
Well,
what kind of information would you transmit?
Well, I'm going to be doing hexadecimal, binary, and octal code. Okay. Just because I believe that, and I'm going to try to give like for my personal truck, I'm going to, the other guys all have different ideas of what we should broadcast, but when we come to an agreement, we'll use those for the official outings of UAPX. But for me sitting in my truck out in the middle of nowhere, I'm going to be giving them instructions on how to decrypt my own stuff. And so,
Okay.
and then once, that, I mean, if they're that advanced, then, binary is going to be just like Morse code for us. It's like, oh, is that Morse code? Well, shit. Does anybody even remember that? Somebody look it up. Somebody look it up. Hey, somebody give me some Morse code. And then, so that's kind of what I'm hoping, and binary is kind of the simplest language. So to me, it just makes sense.
Can I ask you what these transmissions will say?
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
I can wipe my own ass.
I don't know. Such a weird thing to say.
Aliens want to know.
Yeah,
well, you think about it. That way they know we're not knuckle draggers.
Yeah,
we're capable. Damn it!
Yeah,
I can wipe my own ass.
Well, I guess I want to be comforted in the fact that it's not something along the lines of, yeah, I represent this planet. My name is Gary.
Threatening me?
I represent UCR.
I represent UCR. Yeah, I am, and when I do tell everybody about you, I'll go on their show second. Arturo Martin Camargo, excuse me, with $5 donation. Hi, Gary. In Mexico, we have a live webcams on active volcanoes. They seem to be a hotspot for UAPs. Are you guys considering similar phenomena? Great question.
Yeah, it is a good question. Places like that definitely pose an issue, unless they're going to use a high-speed camera or some type of high-resolution camera on those, not just a webcam. Like webcams will show you the blur that goes across, but it's hard to analyze a blur. Those places kind of pose a difficulty, I think, with $1 billion research grant. Yes. With thousands of dollars. No. It's a goal. I will say that it would be a goal to go to places like that because they do seem to be hotspots. Seems like geological situations like big earthquakes, volcanoes. As silly as it sounds, but whale pod movements. It seems like there seems to be just about any natural aspect of the world and not natural that we decide to disrupt seems to be of interest to them, i.e. nuclear weapons, nuclear ships, our nuclear arsenal, so it's all those things, but it's also illegal to film a nuclear base or a nuclear ship. So, we may have a something up our sleeves for that too, but that's going to be in a way future video. That's just a tease, but we might have a way to bait that.
Damn, that's exciting.
Well, see, the whale migration.
Out of everything I said, you picked up on the whales.
Of course. Yeah. I hear Jazz Shaw just.
Yeah. I say that we might have figured out a way of simulating a nuclear reaction, and you're like, whales.
Nuclear plants and UFOs, volcanoes, whatever. What about the whales? No, I'm fascinated by that. So, what is it that you're seeing?
Well, I'll ask you about simulating the nuclear reaction in a second.
Okay,
you're getting away with that one, Gary.
Yeah. So hold on, give me 1 second.
Maybe we can transmit, in whale language too, along with binary code, right?
Well, if there are USOs, the whales got to know, right?
Maybe they're onto something.
I was going to say how difficult...
I'm genuinely curious about this, yeah.
Well, how difficult would it be if, say, these other life forms, if they existed, speak in that kind of click tone thing that we can't understand?
Like sonar or something?
Yeah. But what were you going to say, Gary?
So, believe it or not, actually, Kevin Day brought that up. And at first, when he brought it up, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? What? Whales? Nah, they're there for the nuclear ships. But it seems like there actually is a little bit of precedence to like areas where there's high activity of whales, migration patterns and stuff like that people see. But then there are also fishing grounds where there's a lot of people going to. So there may be coincidences along with that,
Mhm.
but it's still just an aspect to kind of take a look at. We want to really not leave any stone unturned. So
Sure.
it's not a very big point to our research,
A
but
correlation,
yeah,
it sounds like.
it's
Yeah.
something we're trying to keep in the back of our minds so that we
Mhm.
can, so that we don't miss something.
Mhm.
So we got a $5 donation from G West, but before we get to it, I just have to ask, how would you simulate a nuclear reactor or signature
Very
without?
carefully and legally.
I mean, like, what? I can't think of anything commercially available.
I can't really talk about it. It's just an idea that's being toyed with.
Okay. Somebody owns a submarine and it's not talking about it. G West with a $5 donation. Question says, when UAPX brainstorms about how to track UAP, do you discuss at all what some UAP could be made of? Have you been able to detect certain materials?
No, I do believe you'd have to actually capture them to know that. And we have no metamaterials in our possession, so that would be a negative. And when we talk about them, most of the time, our research focus is mostly on hard physical ships, the plasma balls and things like that. If we happen to catch them, we'll study them. But hold on. Sorry, I got a brand new puppy. He's only 9 weeks old.
No, go get him. Go get him. Guys, I want a puppy.
We want a puppy too, but we already have 3 dogs and a cat. So it's a horrible
Michelle
idea.
is insanely allergic to
Oh, I am.
dogs. We're thinking about getting like a hypoallergenic dog, but even that, she said she would still be allergic. It would be tough. But man, I want a dog.
What about
Rather, do you have a
pig?
dog?
I don't. Too much work. I'd love to have a good friend with a dog.
Too much work, he said. What do you say, Jade?
I said, what about a pig? It's like, what are animals that are like dogs?
No. My buddy out
Won't be
here
as much work.
bought a pig. I think it was an emotional decision. And it was such a terrible choice. Such a terrible choice. They're not pets. They don't come over when you this pig is one of those pigs that if you picked it up, it would just go crazy.
I don't know where that is.
Mm-hmm.
So
I've just seen some TikTok videos that seem otherwise, but that's all.
Anytime
that's
I see
my
a pig
extent of knowledge about pig pets.
What are you gonna say?
I do have a family of raccoons living in my backyard, so I kind of consider them a pet.
Do you feed them?
I don't, but they find food.
Mm. Oh, look at Gary's pup.
Oh, I can't see.
You can't see this puppy on the radio, guys, but puppies.
Puppy.
This is becoming an animal show. So last week it was Frank Wilburn with his cat, and now Gary's got the puppers.
Yeah, this is Max.
Hi, Max. Will Max be accompanying you on these adventures?
Maybe someday. But I like him being at home protecting the family.
Yeah. What were you going to say, rather? Sorry.
Well, Gary, about the UAPX theories that people might have. Jerry McGowan has hinted that he kind of thinks that what's going on at Skinwalker Ranch is ancient alien tech, and he's kind of mentioned that he'll expound more when his NDA is up in April or May. I guess my question to you is: was there any data collected around Skinwalker Ranch, or could you give us any more hints into why he might think that?
He's not the only one who thinks that, and until the episode airs, we can't talk about it.
Hey, can you tell us if you've collected data around Skinwalker Ranch?
Nope.
Can you tell us, is this a show or a film?
Well, that will be a show. That'll be an episode of Skinwalker Ranch.
Ooh.
Oh.
Season 3?
The season 3.
Maybe.
Wow. Wow,
I'm pretty
we're
sure
gonna
haven't they announced that yet?
I haven't heard it.
pretty sure.
I'm gonna be talking to Brandon on Friday.
No, don't say shit about that. I'm, sure I'm probably in trouble then. No, those guys have a serious NDA, so we really don't. Like that's not. That one's definitely not one to play with. They are very serious, and the place is a very serious place. So it's they may portray it as a a TV show and stuff like that, but the things that happen there are real, and it is it's definitely a place. I would definitely say if you're just a tourist, don't go there.
Interesting.
So, is that a separate NDA from that other NDA associated with the documentary, but they're kind of both expiring in that same time frame?
Yeah, they should be. It's like I wish I probably should have checked to see if they had announced season 3 yet before I said anything.
Oh, they announced season 3.
Yeah,
that they definitely.
They're working on it. We know that.
Yeah.
They didn't. Yeah, that part we know. We just didn't.
Then we may or may not be on an episode of season 3.
We don't know what the goods are.
Yeah, we didn't know you might be a guest star in an episode.
Cool.
Guest maybe, star not so much.
So you said don't go though to Skinwalker Ranch, right? It's
not if you're a
so you
tourist.
perceive
If
it
you
as
got a
dangerous.
reason, if you got a reason to be there, then yeah, definitely. It's. But be forewarned. If you're a mind frame, if you got a mind like mine, where you see something and you have to try to figure it out, don't go there, because you will become obsessed. And just like I'm obsessed with figuring out what the Tic Tacs actually were, now I'm obsessed with what's actually going on in that ranch.
And you're okay with being obsessed because you've taken that on and that's your mission, right? So
I'm cool with being obsessed because I have a company that I can go check
but you
it
just
out.
For others who don't have that as their hill to die on, you're just saying stay away.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
We had
I don't think I'd go to Skinwalker. I've told people before I'm a scaredy cat, and I don't think I'd go hearing about the radiation, maybe poisoning that maybe people get. And
I'm gonna put a hypothetical out there after I read this comment from Andrew Hillier. I feel the need to point out that the alien probe in Star Trek 4 that was trying to contact humpback whales was cigar shaped.
Oh, nice.
That's a good point.
That's
a lot of people
very good
didn't
point.
like that version or that movie, but I love that one, especially when Scotty's trying to talk to the computer. He's like, "Computer," and then he picks up the mouse and he's like, "Computer." I love that episode.
Oh, that's funny.
That
I've
movie.
seen it.
Robert McEwen, thank you for the $3 super sticker. Thank you guys so much for all the support. Truly appreciate it. Okay, so hypothetical time here, real quick. If you were, say, hypothetically invited, and this is a question for everyone. If you were hypothetically invited to come on the helicopter and go out to the ranch, but you still had to sign the what do they call those?
NDA.
Not an NDA. Before you go on to this property,
release.
A release.
Medical release.
Yes.
You have to sign one of those.
You have to sign a release before you go on the property. Gary, I guess this doesn't really count for you because you've already been there, but I guess
would you go again?
I guess what would be your advice for any one of us if that hypothetical actually happened?
Well, I found prayer helpful before we went onto the property, at least for my mental stability. And like I said, my only advice is I wouldn't do it willy-nilly. I mean, you basically are rolling the dice of whether the property reacts to you or not. And I say it that way on purpose, because some people go on that property and literally nothing happens. It's just a normal place. They walk around, they enjoy the view. It's a beautiful place. And then other people, they get on the property and they have a seizure.
There's a really interesting article by Gary Nolan, a Stanford professor who was imaging people's brains, and he had a theory that, or seemed to be shown by the evidence that a lot of the people who, particularly at Skinwalker Ranch, have these experiences have interesting brain structures. And they're saying that might be kind of why some people might have an experience while others don't. Do you find that credible? And would you want to have your brain MRI to see if you would be susceptible to something like that? Or do you think you would be?
Well, the military is doing that right now to me. The VA is actually evaluating me for a traumatic brain injury.
Wow.
So but I would allow Mr. Nolan to include me in his research project if he wanted to, but I'm not sure if I'd be the best candidate.
Yeah, because it'd be probably a lot of other variables into that normally most people don't go through. I would assume.
I know a lot of his, a lot of the people included in his research are people that are highly sensitive, that are, that seem to be truly like hardcore reacted to stuff, where my situation is where I've had a couple of things happen to me, and then mostly people around me have a lot of things happen to them. And that's what I've been finding to be more the truth than, it's either I've been too oblivious to see the same things, but I've seen there's people that'll see like, your podcast, or they'll see like an episode of something I've been on, and they say, I couldn't believe it was you. They get a hold of me on Facebook or something, and then we start talking like, I never told you, but remember that night we had a fight? Oh yeah, we totally saw something on our way home. It's like they've literally seen weird shit, and mostly like UFO and things like that. And I thought that was a little weird, because over time, as time progresses, I'm getting more and more stories about it. And I found out that my grandmother actually was pretty sensitive to all this stuff and was really into it. And, she passed away, unfortunately, at a pretty young age, in her 50s. So I didn't really get to know her as an adult as I did as a child, but I was the favorite.
Wow. Damn. Okay. Well, answer the question rather. Would you get on the helicopter?
I kind of think that there's a biological thing going on, and so I'm a little bit afraid of getting a alien parasite. So I think that I'd wear like an N95 mask and maybe full medical scrub, and then I would go.
Okay.
You need a radiation suit, my friend, if you're really worried about it, because it seems like most of the problem there is like electromagnetic interference. They're also showing other things like. I got to finish watching their seasons to see exactly what they've posted public or not. Because, we got to, be in there, BSing with the guys and stuff like that. We all start telling our stories and back and forth. So they're their stories. So I'm not going to tell their stories. And but we'll just say that, I think electromagnetic interference seems to be a pretty heavy thing there. Ionized radiation seems to only pop up every once in a while. But not out of the realm of possibility, because they did have somebody that was pretty, both. Well, you saw it on the show. Somebody got their hand burnt with ionized radiation, and then somebody also got their retina damaged through it with a beam of ionized radiation. So Havana shit going on there. Some Havana syndrome crap going on there. So it's. Who knows what's really going on. But like me and McGowan, when it comes down to it, we do believe that there may be some type of ancient technology on that mesa.
Ancient tech that's leaking radiation?
No, directing it.
So that would somebody's controlling it.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
If it's being controlled, if it exists. I mean, honestly, it's basically a piece together hypothesis of McGowan and mine, and that there could be an ancient AI sitting underneath that thing.
Sonic,
I know it sounds out there, but there's reasons behind it.
Well, let's get into it in a second. But Jane, no,
not yet. Good try, though.
Jane, what do you think? Would you hop on the chopper and go?
Yeah, I mean, I've said multiple times I wouldn't go just because I trust what people have said that it may not be the safest place to be. I think I'd psych myself out. That said, I suppose it depends on who's asking me to go and what the conditions are and
It's
what we're
Brandon
gonna
Fugel. Brandon Fugel's asking you to go.
I mean, I had no, I don't. No offense, Brandon. I think Luis, if you asked me to go, that would probably make me think about it. Like somebody I know, right? Or no offense to Brandon, but
well, let's say you knew him a little bit.
Would you like me to dictate exactly what would happen?
Yeah. What? Yeah, go for it.
So this is how it happened with me, and this is mostly how it happens because you sound just like me before I got the real invitation. So I'm like, I'd never go there. You could not drag me onto that property. And then all of a sudden I get the invitation. Well, maybe we could have a couple of guys go there, but I'm not going to go there.
Yeah.
And then as there's no other options and it ends up being just me and two other people available to go, it's like, all right, I'll go. And then it's like, I'm going to Skinwalker.
I think if I felt like I had to go, I'd probably talk myself into it, but I don't think I'm gonna have to go.
I mean, it'd be a killer episode of Hollywood Weird or Weird Hollywood.
Weird Hollywood, it would be. I mean, that's kind of what it's all about. So that's.
I'm still thinking about this. I mean, like we actually have an invite for Brandon to get on the helicopter and go. and I've been asking everybody, would you do this? And I'm like, part of me is like, I don't want to go there.
Do you ever go anywhere or if you're in large crowds, do you feel like foggy headed? Like say you go to like a big social event and like you're around a lot of people, do you feel kind of disconnected and kind of little like you're not quite running the ship?
I guess it depends on what kind of,
we'll say a new place you've never been, you got invited to New York debut of blah 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 blah, and there's we'll say 500 people.
I'm very comfortable in situations like that. Yeah,
okay.
It's like I've been to like a HBO Emmy party, right? That I know nobody, and I rolled up with somebody, and then by the end of it, I can't even tell you, just insane. But yeah, I met a whole bunch of people, had a killer time.
I think you'd be fine, Lou.
You think so?
Yeah, I think you'd be able to walk on the property and nothing would happen to you. Maybe people around you, but
I'm good with that. I'm totally okay with that.
Are you saying you think it's kind of linked to introversion and kind of being a little bit socially awkward?
No, there was a point. Those are pointed questions, but I'm not going to go into why.
Yeah, I'm like, that's driving me crazy, those questions.
I mean, but then again, but I have been to like, I think one of my least, like going to like somebody's party, like a house party or something like that I only know one person at, that's where I get a little kind of in my head like, I don't know anybody here, what am I doing? Sometimes I don't go out of my way to talk to people.
It's a general internal feeling that I was talking about. It's like it's a disconnected kind of floaty feeling, like you're kind of looking from the outside in.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever felt
that way. If you've never felt that way, then you're probably just fine.
I probably shouldn't go to Skinwalker Ranch.
I party's not my jam
really
either.
A tiny bit. Yeah. I'm probably more comfortable in like the house party with this like a small group of people than going to like a giant party or event, where I don't know anybody.
The only time I've ever felt like a fish out of water is when I did this, and I just equate everything to just like my career and what I've done for the last 20 years. But I did a showcase for CBS where 20,000 people auditioned. They picked 17 or 18 people, and then you have to perform and study with these people for months. And first of all, I came late to the process, which was weird. They were already halfway through it, and then when I got there, the people. I was like, I'm funny. I could do this. And then I get there and it's like, oh, you're the funniest person I've ever met in my life. Like, you intimidate me. That's how funny you are. Every choice you make, no matter what it is, it's like watching a version of Steve Martin or something before he became Steve Martin. And I'm just like, oh, yeah, I'll never be you. You know, like I'll never be that good. I just bring, not that I'm trying to emulate or copy them, but you know what I mean? Like,
but you gotta get something, you know, you definitely got that, you know, I should be on TV.
I'm not gonna argue that, but I'm just saying, like, when you even if you're really good at something that you do, there's gonna be those moments in life where you meet somebody who's just better.
That's true with everything. You just can't worry about it.
Yeah. Well, no, you can't.
Yeah, it's like you know, I wish I was as studious as Elon Musk, but you know, what stops me from being that studious is family. You know, it's like you know, I like transitioning to being a full-time CEO at UAPX from working full-time. You know, the normal grind. I was a cable guy, you know, and it's been really hard because, you know, I'll sit down and try to get something run. Like I've been trying to transfer my website from one platform to another for like a week now. And it's like, I'll get into like, because there are two different types of platforms. So I have to do it by hand. So I'm just like, all right, well, we're just going to build a new website. But as I get through like a portion of a page, you know, then, you know, as my daughter needs something or something's going on behind me, so I can't just zone out, focus on my work. You know, if I hear something going on, I got to get up and go take care of it, you know. So and I've been playing, my wife decided to go back to work full time, so I'm being Mr. Mom too. So now I'm back to a full-time job and a full-time job again. So you know,
well, you almost look like Michael Keaton.
What's that?
I said you almost look like Michael Keaton.
Me?
You got a Michael Keaton Mr. Mom thing going.
I don't see that, but
yeah. All right, maybe it's just me. Sonic Gravity with a $5 donation. I think it's kind of a joke question, and because it's true. Like all of these shows put Geiger counters and ground penetrating radar. Every episode, there's always two guys who are
where's my Geiger counter?
But are you going to put a Geiger counter on the Acadian?
I am gonna have a Geiger counter on the Acadian. Okay. But I need to, I've been researching which one to put on because I need one that interfaces with a PC so that I can record data with it. I don't want a handheld. I want everything to be interfaced into PCs to be able to get reliable, time-stamped, DPS stamped data so that I can correlate all of the data together. And it's the Geiger counter is actually kind of a archaic device, but I'm actually going to be using something called a cosmic watch instead of that. It's a much better radiation detector, much more accurate, and it's basically called a muon detector. It will detect all types of radiation, so and give you a lot more detailed information.
Is the cost of that a lot more than a typical Geiger counter? Is that like really
no? Actually, it costs less if you can find the parts.
Wow.
Realistically, if you find the parts, it only runs about $1.25 right now, but you have to build them yourself. There's no company that just builds them. It was it's a project that a student at MIT designed and created, and he put it out to the world for free. So it's, you know, the cost of the materials is about $125, and then it'd probably take you. Well, if you knew how to do surface mounting, soldering, and stuff like that, it'd probably take you about maybe a day to build one.
Sounds like a fun project.
Or a whole year like me, and I would never complete the task.
Or you could pay somebody like me to do it for you.
Yeah. Can you buy one that's just put together?
No. Believe me, really? I've looked, because if I could, I probably would have already bought 20 of them.
Wow. That's wild.
Well, because like the more you have, the more accurate they are, because each one detects the particles going through them. So when you have more than one of them, you can actually get directionality. So you can see which directions. Well, you can see what direction the radiation's coming from.
Yeah.
So
I kind of did an experiment with a cloud chamber, so you can kind of see the background radiation zooming around, and I think that would be very useful because it might not just be general radiation. They might be targeting, trying to do something.
Yeah. And honestly, targeted radiation, like a small, you know, like what they call a radiation knife, unless it was hitting directly on the device, you wouldn't really see it because it would be too directed. too precise, but the general radiation coming off of it, which is always going to happen, that would be detected unless you were shooting it right at the device. Because, depending on how big the beam would be. I mean, if it's a 4-mile beam, then yeah, it would definitely detect it. But if it's, a couple of microns, wide, we won't, unless it's hitting the plate directly, you wouldn't really get a detection of it.
Damn, I was going to ask you a question. It just slipped my brain.
Oh, somebody actually said something earlier
yeah.
about how Skinwalker's been researched for over 2 years. And, it's been researched for probably about 15 years. And all the prior research is all private and classified. That's the Bigelow and his project. And then, while Skinwalker's been on it for a couple of years now, or Brandon and his team has been only on it a couple of years. It is very difficult to do research on that ranch. After everything's said and done, there's a lot of technical failures, a lot of equipment failures. You see it on the show all the time.
Yeah.
You see all that stuff that they run into. That's real. Batteries just going dead for no reason that were fully charged. Things like that happens on the regular. I mean, so getting consistent data is the hardest thing to do on this place. So it's, my hat's off to Eric and to those guys over there trying to do research on that property.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jane.
So with the Jeep you're working on or the car you have, is that kind of something that you can test if there's a sighting, if it shuts down or breaks down? Is that a running hypothesis? Because I know that's a commonality with some really great UFO cases, is my car shut down or pilots.
Yeah. See, if we have two different systems and they both shut down at the same time, well, then that's consistent. Where if we have one system that shuts down, that could be a fault. That could be a power management issue.
Right.
There's an old saying, 1 is none, 2 is 1. It stems from the military, and you basically saying if you only have one of something, you might as well have none, because if it breaks, you're shit out of luck. And unfortunately, we've run into that situation a couple of times. And although it's not the primary motivation for me doing the Acadian is mostly, I want to do it. It sounds really cool, and I want a truck like McGowan's.
Yeah. Hell yeah! I'd love to see those next to each other. What do you say, rather?
Oh yeah. Do you know if there have been any radiation spikes or muons detected when they find these failures at Skinwalker Ranch? Presumably, potentially, they could be shooting beams at these things, right?
I know that I don't know personally. We weren't able to bring our Cosmic Watch with us just due to time constraints, and we probably could have, but nobody thought to overnight it. so plus it was
Can you take it on a plane?
Yes.
Okay.
But I wouldn't tell them you have it.
Yeah. It's possible.
There's nothing
to limit.
Don't worry, this is just a Cosmic Watch.
There's nothing in it that would cause any problems with the plane. It is a completely passive device, but it sounds. If you tell them you have a radiation detector on the plane, they're not going to let it through. But it is a very small device, so it probably wouldn't even be looked at twice.
Yeah, man. I was gonna ask. I mean, I know you guys really don't care about what the government has, but I'm just so fascinated by what they could have, because I'm thinking along the lines of, well, it seems like you guys are collecting good data. It seems like it's data that's going to at least shift the conversation from a scientific standpoint. It just makes me start thinking like, God, what does our government have that they, and how often are they catching this kind of phenomena? Not catching it and like capturing it and, bringing it back to a hangar, but, videotaping it or catching it on these systems.
Yeah. Well, I think at the worst, the best situation, they have a lot better or a lot more metadata than we do, and basically are still struggling with what the hell it is.
Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping that's the situation. The worst case scenario is that they know exactly what they are, and they've literally kept us in the dark on purpose.
If you think, let me ask you then, that's in that case scenario, if they know exactly what they are, do you think you guys would be able to figure it out as well?
Yes. And I think that as we grow as a company and our capabilities get stronger and more varied, because we've got research projects planned that we can't even begin to scratch because of money. And we're talking like, phased array radar systems and, things that are cost us literally billions,
Right.
So basically we're it's baby steps, man. One step at a time, we have tons of empirical evidence already that something's going on, which is what gives us the credibility to move forward. Each time we go out, we dial in our systems and our the way we collect data better and better and better. So it's more academically and clean. It's like for right now, we would still be considered amateurs, but yet we still are doing things in a very professional way. So we wouldn't be considered like the Galileo project where they can build a $75,000 rig, yes,
Right.
and then have multiple of them. They're starting off on a better foot than we are,
Right.
but they're also starting from scratch because they're trying to build that platform academically,
Right.
because
Free of
they're literally building a science from scratch themselves. Right. Which is going to help us even, because basically when they catch up to where we're at, and they realize, and then it's realized that we're already been doing this for, we'll say it takes them a decade to really gain traction. They're like, oh, well, we need to go see what they've been doing. We need to really, we'll just have already been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and hopefully we'll have grown by then. That's a lot of the reason why I wanted it a nonprofit, so that it can continue on long after I'm dead.
So
go ahead, Jane.
Well, so if you're hoping that the government just doesn't really know what's going on here, right? And kind of like us, like we're all in the dark, right? But then you seem confident that you guys might be able to add some data, right? We might get more into the light here. So what would be different about UAPX or all of these efforts now, right? If let's say the cover-up started in 1947, if they still haven't figured out anything, do you think there's something interactive here? Do you think they or these UFOs?
Well, I honestly think if I'll just be blunt, if there is aliens on this planet, they've been here long before we were capable of thought. They've probably been here before primates. So
right. So why do you think that like UAPX, and I do too? I feel optimistic too for some reason.
We don't have egos or agendas other than trying to figure it out.
Do you think maybe they have been hiding or from other, let's say, research organizations, and this being a more open effort, it just might be more successful because of that?
It might be more successful. And that's actually yet another thing I discussed with our guys is that there's a good possibility that we're literally messing with Pandora's box.
Right.
And, we just still decided to go forward. And so we're going to
be responsible, Gary.
It's like when the chickens in our backyard, they get real bold and they want to come in the garage, and they want to come in, and they know our dog could kill them. But she doesn't normally, and they're real bold, and they keep coming into the garage.
Well, chickens are kind of stupid, so I kind of hope they don't.
Well, that's what I mean. Are we kind of stupid to be like trying to go into their garage, right? They want water and heat, and we want the truth, right? But we just like want what we want, right? So
yeah, we're trying to do it in a way that hopefully is transparent enough that, when they say they see what we've released to the public and they think that maybe we're holding back or something, and they come in and investigate us and just see that no, that's it. We didn't hold back. That's everything. Then I hope that the transparency itself and the fact that it's already been released to the public, that it's almost like how other people in this field have gone public and then went sensational, just because like, here, I'm going to give you a little bit of truth, but now I'm going to make it sensational, so now I'm protected. So people say, well, we might believe you, but there's a little aspect of that I don't believe. Keep it on that cusp, you're safe. You push it forward, which like we're doing, but we're going to try to just be transparent as possible, so that let me read it this way: if UAPX ever folds, goes away, and because even if it's just me, this company is always going to exist. So if it actually folds, we were shut down.
Weren't able to be transparent.
Yep.
Right.
By the way, I just want to say our chickens they have water and they're very well fed and spoiled. I just made it sound like
I'm just surprised that you have chickens. I'll be honest.
No, she's right. My chickens are
having water,
idiots.
but they're just spoiled. They just like want to go everywhere. So I just want to clear the air for any animal rights that think we're depriving our chickens of water.
Yeah, don't feel bad. I let my puppy chase my chickens.
The dog. We have a zoo here. So.
Peter's gonna shut down your.
Oh no! I love animals. Animals.
I got 2 well-fed, fat little hens that give me eggs.
Love it. Okay. Well, if you guys are enjoying this conversation with Gary Voorhis and Jane and Rather, and you haven't already, smash that like button, subscribe, ring the bell. That way you don't miss any conversations like this going forward. Gary, do you have another half hour?
Yeah, I got you.
Because what I was going to do is open it up the floor to folks who want to call in. There's no actual phone number. You guys will just put in the StreamYard link, and if you don't want to show your face, that's totally cool, totally understandable. Some people are shy. You can come in and ask Gary a question, and just like Gary did there. You can ask a question to Gary Voorhis if you guys want to come in here and share your thoughts or have a question. Be more than welcome to do it. Let me, I guess, what do you think about this notion that there's not going to be, if the government does decide that they're going to be more transparent with this information, which, I mean, obviously you guys are not relying on, but it is an interesting, obviously. I'm curious though, what you think of this idea that the only way they would do it is if they only talked about 2004 to present, because that would give them amnesty from any sort of lawsuits or people coming back and trying to sue the federal government for, terrible things that they may have done to them to keep them quiet. I think
it's our game plan. I don't think that they're going to admit anything past 2000 or before 2004.
Right. Okay. So you agree with that sentiment?
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure I'm the one that started that one.
Oh, okay. Well, then there you go. Okay. So
that's my big fear. That's
Jane's big fear. I mean, although
just look at it this way. There's just all right. So to be fair, the federal government can't be held responsible for all of the actions that happen, because you have multiple agencies, multiple individuals that were acting on their own via their own organizations. You got people like that dipshit that messed with that guy so bad that he killed himself. The government can't be held responsible for Doty's actions. Doty's an idiot. He's thought he was doing his job and he was enjoying doing it, and ended up driving this guy crazy and he killed himself. That's an indirect action that the government had, but can't be tied to the government. Right. So there's so many things like that. And then who knows how many direct things did happen that you'll never prove. That so many scientists that, accidentally their car went off a cliff, or their brakes went out and they died, or they got hit by a van crossing the street, or, who knows how many untold accidents happen that you'll never know that it was them. All these things you're never going to tie to the government. And like I said, and it's mostly because there's just no one agency that was doing it. Yeah. When people talk about the gov or the Fed, they act like it's this like big evil organization that is, out to get us all. And when it comes down to it, it's actually a collection of big, horrible organizations that all have their hand in the cookie jar, wanting this information for themselves, all thinking they're doing what's right for the best interest of everybody. And sometimes just for the best interest. Yeah. I don't care if you like me or not.
He timestamps when he calls quote Dodie an idiot. Gary Voorhis 12/13.
Now, when I say he's an idiot, I will make the caveat that he's not. It's not that he's not intelligent.
Yeah,
the man is considerably intelligent, because look at the PR bullshit that he pulled just to be in the scene. There's still people that talk to him. There shouldn't be, but there still is. But I'm sure there's there's probably 100 people that say the same thing about me. Why the hell is anybody even listening to this guy? Yeah. But it's okay. I just don't like it because of what happened with the guy that committed suicide. That was my big linchpin with him. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, we got a caller in the back. We'll bring him on in a second. I think it's Bradley Voorhis.
So I know
Voorhis
him
on the channel.
Or at least enough.
No, he's definitely gonna. I have a feeling I know exactly what he's gonna say. But before I bring him on, I wanted to ask the question to the group. Gosh, what was the question? Damn it. I'm not on my game today.
If it's important, you'll remember.
Yeah, I'll remember it.
Before 2004, stuff like that.
Okay, yes, that's exactly what my question had to do with. Thank you, rather. It was Jane. I think I kind of want your answer on this. If you could get a version of disclosure and everything before 2004 will be locked away forever, would you take it?
You already have
one. Yeah. I guess so. I think I'll just take anything at this point. I think there's disclosure in the sense of what comes from the government, right? And then there's the actual truth that's out there. And I don't think that anybody is shutting a lid on that ever, right? So it's not that I would worry that we would just be deceived forever, all eternity, if that were to happen. I think it's just more, what are the odds? Let's say that all these UFOs are real, the phenomenon's real. What are the odds then that all these people were talking about this for decades, they were misidentifying weather balloons? It's just kind of it's so obvious. And I think even if they do shut it down and there's this official disclosure that doesn't include anything before 2004, it'll still be surrounding it. And everybody knows the Roswell story, even grew up on it, right? Even the sci-fi of it. So I don't think it ever actually goes away. Yeah. So I don't
think it'll go away.
I'll take it.
But just knowing you're never going to get definitive.
I don't expect ever to get definitive. I don't expect to ever really know what's going on here. Even if a gray alien gave a press conference and I shook its hand, I still would have questions. Who do you report to? How many different varieties of you are out there? How, I don't think I would trust the aliens and their intel any more than I would necessarily a government UFO report, right? So I'm already at peace, I think, with that. Yeah, with a limited disclosure.
And Gary, you were kind of saying it's kind of already happening, right?
Yeah, we're already kind of getting that. Basically, it's going to get to the point. We're even seeing bills on funding reverse engineering. So we already know if they're reverse engineering stuff, they're already doing it. So now they're just trying to legalize their actual exploits that they're already doing. So, it's kind of one of those things where, well, since you guys are cool with UFOs, by the way, we're going to go ahead and introduce this bill for funding reverse engineering. Now it's legal. It doesn't have to be a black ops anymore.
Yeah.
There was also a super chat there for asking about equipment.
Yeah. I was going to get to that after Bradley. I see it here. We'll get to that in a second. Rather, what do you think about that question? I kind of agree with Gary there, and Jane, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm pretty much on the same page with Jane. I think that the big question that we would get from prior to 2004 is, are there bodies in craft? And if we get that from post 2004 data, I think it'll be pretty obvious for us to intuit that there probably were bodies in craft before 2004, and a lot of that stuff was probably true.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's bring him in real quick. Brad, Sonic Gravity, inventor of the Voorhis anti-gravity machine. Right?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Maybe. I don't know. He was working on it this weekend. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, real good, Lou. Thanks for inviting me up.
Yeah, no sweat, man. What's your question?
Well, Gary, I was just wondering, it sounds like you've got a pretty robust sort of team, or at least, the angle to pick up people for a team. And I wondered how familiar you were with the way the government does its contracting. Because if you look at the statute for the appropriation, when they talk about, because that's all that is appropriation legislation. So then the mechanics of like how they put that office together is going to be driven sort of by the purpose that's articulated in the legislation. And so they're going to issue contracts because like there's no ufologists in the government. So they're going to issue contracts, and you can actually compete to get those contracts as prime contractors for the government. And I was just wondering because like part of it, one of them is, investigate shit. And so like whoever grabs Ross Coulthart and, you could like assemble the dream team from UFO Twitter to do at least some of the things that they're probably going to be contracting for. And I was just wondering if you'd thought about throwing UAPX's hat in the ring for that.
As tempting as that sounds, I got a feeling a lot of the strings that are going to come with that are a lot worse than a production company's NDA.
Well, is that something that you're just gonna say, okay, fuck it on the front end, or are you just gonna compete for it? And then if it's gnarly,
well, it depends on the situation and what stipulations are. I'm never going to say that there's never going to be a situation that we don't utilize government funding. But if there's a lot of strings attached, or, NDAs like we had to sign in the military, which very well could be, I don't think we could because of our the way that we want to be transparent. So, how are you going to be transparent if you're working for the government?
Right.
I mean, that's just simple 1 and 1 equals 2. You can't leak government secrets, So
go ahead.
But you don't have that landscape. Like you're not being asked to leak government secrets or anything. I just thought maybe
all right,
you'd be well postured to get after the disclosure, and then to the extent that you could
towards disclosure, I think we might look at doing it. If that was the angle and they were looking to be open and honest about it, then yes, we might be able to work with the government. But if they're gonna run it like they run every other option, every other op that they've ever run in their entire existence of the entire government of every agency, I got a feeling that that's not going to be our bag of chips.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just figured that because you're so disclosure minded, right? Somebody's going to do that contract. Somebody's going to go do it. And so having you do it, even if you're constrained, if somebody who was less interested in disclosure did it, then we wouldn't get nothing from that experience. But if you did it, then, maybe they'd, cut your nuts off or tie you up or whatever. So you can only disclose a little bit, but you'd be the guy who would like push the edge and be like right there disclosing whatever it is that you found that you could. Does that make sense? Anyway, it's just my question.
Yeah. So basically be able to give the Lou breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
It really is a situation, Brad. I mean, it's just it'll always be a lot of money. But the one thing that we're going to do forever is we are not going to compromise anymore. We compromised for our first project, and we're having a bit of buyer's remorse. We've decided that we will not be compromising our science from now on forever. So, and it's things didn't go as well as we wanted them to, and like I said, there's no more compromising. I'm done compromising with people. I'm done compromising with agencies that want to work with us. Either you want to do real science or you don't. Get out of my face if you don't. I'll wait 10 years with my own funding if I have to.
And it just seems like also, Gary, that you don't need them.
Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said,
it might take a little longer, but I feel like you guys will be able to figure it out.
I got some absolutely brilliant people. I know for a fact that 2 people on my team would never sign an NDA with the government.
Yeah. Does one of them's name rhyme with Slammy Mataluni?
No. But I don't know if he would either, unless basically academic scientists that work for academia, work for colleges and work on projects for colleges and stuff like that, they kind of see NDA as a dirty word.
Yeah.
So, we've had discussions.
Look at this. We're having a puppy and kid off here. I love it. Bradley, thank you so much, man, for coming and hanging out and asking the question. I thought it was a pretty good one.
Hey, thanks. This is Kookie.
Hey,
Hi, Kookie.
Hi, Kookie. All of a sudden got shy. Well, yeah, keep us up to date on the machine. I watched this weekend. I'm looking. I'm still waiting. But I
it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. I thought we'd get a little bit more. I mean, it oscillated between rest and a pound and a half lighter or whatever. And I think if it didn't work at all, it would be bouncing heavier and lighter and heavier and lighter. So, I mean, it was a little bit, but it's not enough to
it's hard
really,
to measure it.
Blow anybody's skirt up. You know what I mean? So I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to load it down with 100 pounds so it won't shake. You know what I mean?
There you go.
And then we'll see it.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, awesome. Thanks for watching, Lou. I really appreciate it. That's cool.
No problem, man. Yeah, I definitely checked it out. How could I not watch that? I was like, let's see what Bradley does. If this thing gets 10 pounds lighter, I might have a cool conversation this Monday. Brad, Sonic Gravity, Sonic Gravity podcast.
Man. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah. Later, buddy. Man. Nice to meet you, Kookie.
And by the way, I'm absolutely incorporating your ideas.
Oh, what do you mean?
Oh, with the he wants light meters and to detect and analyze frequency of light.
Yeah.
Oh, and as for the equipment,
let's get to this question from G West, who asked, Gary, is there any affordable equipment that you would recommend to normal folks that would like to try and go detect UAP themselves? And I'll also add a caveat to that. Where do they look?
Well, if you're going for good equipment, cheap, get to know the equipment, the ins and outs of the equipment, what's good, what's not good about each piece of equipment, whether it's FLIR or night vision, because not all night vision is made by the same manufacturers. Look for, go do your research on each type of device. The one thing I'm doing right now is looking through all the different FLIR manufacturers, because it's not just FLIR that makes, FLIR owns the technology, but there's 15 different manufacturers that manufacture FLIR equipment. So there's everything from scientific grade all the way down to just a monocle that you can buy. I would suggest the marine version if you're going to go with a monocle FLIR camera, and those are also easier to hook to a device to record, because of the single eyepiece.
Have you guys ever put out an inventory list of the equipment that you have to, as you were talking, I was thinking, God, it would be cool if we could get you to bring on some of this equipment that is able to be unattached from either a truck or whatever device you have it attached to, if you could bring it on, show us the model number, talk about it, where you can get it, things like that.
I plan on doing something like that once the videos or once the movie's launched. That's part of the kind of the pop of the movie is, seeing all the different equipment that we're using and, and moving forward, I'm going to be using different types of equipment. We won't be using the same equipment we did in the movie for various reasons, but I do have a list, a comprehensive list, especially what each truck's going to is going to include, because we generally are going to have each truck manned by 2 people. So we're going to have equipment-based stuff. We're going to have mounted equipment and handheld equipment. Handheld equipment basically just to kind of monitor the situation, so to tell us what's going on, and then mounted equipment so that we're constantly recording. I want to constantly have a recording, a timestamp, and a GPS location. And, with every camera, we'll be shooting the azimuth on each camera, so we know exactly the angles at which they're shooting at. And with the GPS, you'll be able to literally take our data and go and replicate it in the same exact spot.
Man, yeah, that would be cool. Like, I would love to see, and I mean, I'm just even thinking about it for my channel, just especially for handheld, for folks who don't have the truck, who don't have the money to invest into something like that, where if we can give them a list in the description below, hey, grab these 4 items, or if you could afford these 4 items.
Well, a tri-field meter is a good place to start. You can get them cheap or expensive. If you're serious about wanting to do science, no, there's nothing cheap you can buy.
Yeah.
But you can go on eBay and maybe look for expensive models cheaper than what it would cost to buy brand new.
Yeah.
If you're going to be just an enthusiast, I would probably just start with like Gen 3 night vision. You can usually pick those up before anywhere from like $1,000 to $1,500 on eBay. Brand new ones will run you between $5,000 and $6,000. I mean, there's nothing real cheap about real equipment. So start with things like tri-field meters, Geiger counters, Gen 3 night vision, maybe a marine monocle thermal camera. That's kind of the low end of the spectrum. Look for RF frequency analyzers with a small antenna that you can, keep track of the RF spectrum. And if you get a hold of me on Twitter, I can get you the frequencies to look at for the RF frequencies. There's a lot you can do, but it costs money. I mean, even we're patching together some more equipment soon. So, I mean, we feel you. I know the excitement of really want to getting out there and doing something, but then you look at your pocketbook, it's like,
maybe I'll just go to the movies instead.
So is there like a Kmart that sells this stuff or something?
Yeah.
Do they sell this at Walmart? No.
Well, just like anything. I mean, look, one of these. Did you say 3rd generation night vision goggles? Like,
yeah, I honestly wouldn't waste your money. I would just save up, because I mean, look at, all right, so $1,200 is a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Generally, you can find a used pair for between $1,000 and $1,500 if they're real.
Yeah.
If you see a pair of Gen 3 night vision for $800, either that person has no idea what they have, or something's wrong with them. So that's the other thing. So that's where I say do your homework on the devices that you want to purchase. But like, if you saved, $25 a paycheck, by the end of the year, you could buy one.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you got like kids, and I know there's always a problem, but problems are just solutions you haven't thought of yet. So figure out what the solutions are.
Speaking of someone who likes to figure out solutions, Artisan Tony, welcome, buddy. How you doing?
Hey.
I forced my way onto your show.
Yeah, you're here, man. I can't wait to hear what question you have, because I do love your perspective.
I was going to ask Gary,
what do you got?
I bought this camera. I won't mention the company, but they removed the IR, filters from cameras for you, and they claim that it will detect from 600 to 1200 nanometer, that wavelength. Is that like near infrared, or what do you think?
Talk about Synox.
The reason I can't mention, I bought this about 3 months ago, and I can't remember the actual. Well, you all probably know better than I do. You're talking about the company, it's a website that removes the IR filters.
Oh, I've got honestly no idea what you're talking about. Most of the stuff I have is all geared exactly to do what I want it to do.
But I was wondering if you've ever heard that like that spectrum 600 to 1200 nanometers. What will it? I'm curious to see what will it detect.
The farther into the infrared spectrum you get, the more successful you'll probably be. I'll give you that. So if you can get into the near, then you're probably going to see a lot more than you normally would. So the more wide spectrum you can get, obviously the less specific you can get. Oh, he's getting rambunctious.
Oh, and what breed is your puppy? Because I'm getting ready to get a new puppy like that.
This one is the Great American Mutt. I have no idea exactly. I think he's like pit bull and something, but he's just needed a home, and unfortunately, my puppy passed away not too long ago, and well, I kind of got conned into getting this little guy, and now he's now he's my little buddy.
Right on. Tony, how you doing, buddy? Any other questions you got before you skedaddle?
No, sometime I'll tell you about my experience volunteering for the Galileo project. So,
for your experience, you said working for the Galileo project?
Not working for them, volunteering.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can go to their website and fill out a form and give them the skills that you have, and they might contact you. So,
or just get an email from them.
Yeah, yeah. So that's exciting stuff.
Awesome.
It involves CAD work. So.
I figured. Yeah, I mean, he's a CAD genius. That's what Artisan Tony.
I'm finding out. You know what's funny is when you start doing this kind of work, you find out what kind of genius you're not.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you could be a genius at CAD, though.
And now you find out that you're just. It's a very humbling experience when you start working with people from Harvard and Cambridge and Caltech. Yeah. You're like, okay, I thought I was good. Now I realize I'm just a CAD boy.
That's all right. Yeah. It's still helpful. What are you gonna say, Gary?
One of my first jobs was running an AutoCAD auto grinder for Hyde's hand tools.
Oh, that's awesome. So it's like
super simple, nothing like what you do. But I mean, my one of the projects I want to work on as soon as I get a shop is building my own CNC machine.
Oh yeah, they're awesome. Yeah, and that's no, it takes more than a dummy to run one of those. So I wouldn't.
I'm designing one.
There you go. Confirmed. Artisan Tony, man, thank you. Before you get out of here, tell everybody where they can find your channel.
Just Artisan Tony.
There you go.
YouTube.
I'm definitely gonna check it
guys.
out.
Yeah, man. My
much
pleasure.
Respect, bud.
Thanks, Tony.
Bye.
Yeah, Tony
Squidding. Oh, thank you, Squidding, for coming on my show too. That was a great time. We had a good time.
Yeah, it was great fun.
Wasn't I supposed to come on your show?
You already were. You were on before him, remember?
Now I feel like I'm left
What about
out.
me?
We all want to be on your show, Tony.
I asked you, Jane.
When did you ask me?
You're like, I'm too good looking to be on Artisan.
I never said that. I know I never said that. I never said no.
That I can confirm. That sounds just like Jane.
Hey, I'm going to give it to him. That was a slick way of telling her she was pretty, huh?
Not bad.
No,
Not bad.
All right. Well, thanks,
Maybe
guys.
we said January.
Absolutely, Tony. We'll see you soon, buddy. Thank you.
See ya.
No Silent Red, $4.99 sticker. Double income, no kids. Shades on.
Oh shit! You got double income, no
rub
kids.
it in my face.
You got the money to buy these.
yeah, man. Maybe you could. Well, first of all, check out our Patreon. That's number one, and then number two, let's get some night vision goggles up in here.
Yeah, you're gonna want Gen 3 night vision goggles. Start with a Synox. You're gonna want to get like maybe you want to, like I said, a long wave infrared FLIR camera.
Yeah.
You get those three things, and then a couple of radiation detectors. Look up the Cosmic Watch if you have any type of skill set in soldering and things like that. Then it wouldn't be too hard to build yourself.
Yeah.
or if you don't want to mess with the cosmic watch, just get yourself a real good Geiger counter, a tri-field meter, RF frequency analyzer, some light meters attached to a telescope so you can analyze light. That's the kind of thing you want to do. Is basically the more devices that you can do to correlate data, the better.
Right.
Because pictures aren't going to do it anymore.
No, I agree.
No, apparently not.
No, definitely not. Real quick, NeuroStream with a $10 donation. Thank you so much. Shout out to the James Webb Space Telescope launching in 9 days. If we get biosignatures out there, more funding to find ETI presence on near Earth, will be coming, I think is what he meant to say.
Ancient aliens, right?
James
We're
Webb's
looking the
Telescope
past.
for the win. Great show today. Thank you so much, NeuroStream, for that donation. Appreciate it. Gary Voorhis, that was fun, man. I cannot wait for this new year to see what you guys are going to be coming up with, because I know Jeremy McGowan is confident, but that is one really confident press release. I can tell you that. It oozes confidence. So I'm excited because you guys are excited.
Yeah, we are definitely excited because this is hopefully going to be a very, very exciting year.
I think it will be, man. I'm kind of getting goosebumps you saying that. Please keep us posted, even if we're second. Gary Voorhis, before you get out of here, I know you're very, very approachable on Twitter. So if you want, you can give everybody your Twitter handle. I've got it in the description below.
Gary Voorhis at Twitter. I mean, I'm pretty easy to find on Twitter.
Somebody was also asking you about joining the UAPX team. Can you talk about that a little bit? How people can join if they've got expertise to help you? I know we are looking for
specific skill sets. We're looking for data-oriented software engineers. We're looking for well, you'd have to contact me, give me your resume or your CV, and basically I forward it on to the smart people, and they can tell me whether we can use you. And, just don't take offense. We're a real small company. We're trying to keep it very, very tight. Not even to keep the data secret. It's just to keep management of projects. Project management is always a pain in the ass. So the less people I got to worry about, the better. But I want to basically keep it at the minimum amount of people to be effective.
Right on. Cool. All right, guys. Well, check out Gary Voorhis on Twitter. Find him at UAPX or UAPX. What's the website for UAPX? UAPX.com?
It's UAPexpeditions.org.
Got it right here in front of me. Okay. Awesome. Gary Voorhis, thank you so much for spending the last 2 hours with us, man. Get back to the family and dog. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yep, absolute pleasure.
Thanks, Gary.
Bye.
So what do you guys think?
That's great.
Are you guys are excited as I am?
I am.
Look at Rather's face.
Yeah, I feel like 2021 is kind of a building year for all of this, and 2022 is going to be where the payoff comes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really looking forward to it.
I don't know. Oof. You think it'll be? You said payoff, rather. That's
well. If you've read the press release, there's some big promises there.
I mean, it is, man. It is. I mean, I said the year was going to be 2023 because I think that's when the NDA really is going to sort of be in full swing.
Yeah, I'm talking more about the private stuff, the Galileo project, UAPX, but yeah, no, I agree with that too.
Look, the dream scenario for me would be for UAPX or Galileo to force the hand of the federal government for where they're like, we have to talk about this because there's guys at Harvard and guys with Land Rovers and Jeeps catching this data better than we are, and now they're sharing it with people and
cute puppies too.
Yeah. I mean, that would be my dream scenario. Like, I hope they force the hand of the government to be more honest and transparent with this stuff,
or keep them from fooling anybody if they don't want to be honest about it, right? Because we'll have this other data that you can't argue with.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there'll always be people to argue it, but yeah.
Sure. Well, yeah. Right. Yeah.
What do you say, rather?
Yeah. The cat's out of the bag, and we're approaching it from multiple angles. exciting times we live in.
It's very, very, very exciting times. Damn, thank you guys, all of you in the chats, for the super chats. Thank you for calling in and making the show, helping us produce the show and having fun with it. Before we get out of here, of course, I want to say thank you to DOS Tapes. They provide all of the tunes that you hear on the show. Their Bandcamp link is in the description below. Want to remind you that this show will be available on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you find your podcasts. So please do us a favor. If you're on the road, you're at work, listen to us there. Download the show, and rate and review goes a very, very long way. Also, please consider joining our Patreon and super chats. It helps. We are a public access channel. We run off of donations and viewers like you. So all of it helps. Truly, truly appreciate it. Also, want to say thank you to the moderators, Tina, Aaron, Rodrigo, UFOT. You guys are truly appreciated out there. Don't forget to check out the links in the description below for the UCR merch store, for our ever-growing Discord channel. It grows in popularity all the time. I mean, like I said, we had Gary Voorhis in there a couple weeks ago, which was a cool conversation. And then also all of our guests, co-hosts, anybody who was on the show, links in the description below. And of course, I want to say thank you to the KGRADB.com family, where the Unidentified Celebrity Review, you can be found pretty much every day. Every show is going to be played on there, but we do it live every Friday on KGRA from 1 to 3 p.m. Thank you guys so damn much for coming aboard, getting weird with us here on another episode of the Unidentified Celebrity Review, your home for credible news, reviews, and commentary on everything UAP and UFO. My name is Luis Jimenez. On behalf of UFO Jane, on behalf of Rather Be Squinting, thank you guys so damn much for being here. Do you have anything you're working on this week, Jane, before we do officially go?
Just subscribe, and I'm looking at a lot of local cases actually right now. Some Texas sightings right now, but I've got a lot. I've got the Jason McClellan interviews coming. The good news about posting it late is I keep promoting him.
Yeah.
Keep talking about Jason McClellan. It is coming. It is coming.
Rather, I know you got a new video.
Yeah, I should change gears a little bit. Gary Nolan put out a paper on the 1977 Council Bluffs, Iowa UFO artifact, and that's one of my favorite cases. So I'm diverting and going to do a little bit on that. Which
nice.
I wanted to talk about that a little bit today, but we got into such a good conversation with Gary that we just kind of right over it. Yeah, that's all right. Well, maybe we'll get in there on Wednesday. All right, you guys, thank you all so damn much. Stay safe out there. Be good to each other. And peace. I'm going to tell y'all right now, all of these wonderful people would not be here without Patreon supporters like you. If you enjoy credible news, reviews, and commentary on UFOs and UAPs 5 days a week, you want to support this show. What's your name? Marty. Marty, look how easy this is, Marty. Pick up your phone. Boom! You're a Patreon member. I mean, look, it's so easy. You just click the link, which is right here. Just for $1 a month, you can support this show. Just fill out the information and pledge what's comfortable for you. It could be $1, $5, $10, or who knows. Just support.